Hello, my name is Don Zabalansky with Colonial Metal Smithing. Today is a continuation of the Dutch Steamboat lantern build-out. This will be episode 3, and it will talk about punching and folding. So let's get started. First of all, this is a large punch which I use for actually fairly large items. This currently has an 1 3/8" punch in it. It has a capacity of going up to 2 inches. So this is one of the tops, and I have already laid out the circle, but I need a punch hole to get started. So I would stick it in here, pull down on the lever, and we have an 1 3/8" hole, which is actually perfect to get going. Also, when I make the fonts, and sometimes I refer to them as the cans, the collar, which you see right here, has to have a hole to go through for the oil, or in some cases the electricity. In most cases, when I electrify, I always punch this out and make it so that it's pretty much traditional. It could actually hold oil for a lamp burner. So here's a slug that I cut out earlier that you saw in the combination circle machine. I set it in here and I line it and cut it out. Now they make a stripper for this which would automatically pull this off, but I don't have it. And then the font collar would be soldered on like such, and we'll go through how to build one of these as we work our way through. Prior to having the Whitmore Jensen punch, I used to have this old hand punch, which is really pretty much turn of the century, and it operates by actually pounding on it. As always, getting it up, but it punches a hole similar to the other one. Now the first way I started punching holes was with a Osborne punch, and I would hold this on a piece of, I use lead block, but you could use wood. I used lead because it offers a decent amount of resistance, but it won't actually ruin the cutting edge. And here's the hole it punches. It obviously leaves a little bit more of an indentation because it's a slower punching process. Now I'm going to show you how to wire an edge. And basically there's very few circumstances where you would have a raw edge on a surface that somebody could touch. It's either folded over, or in this case there's a wire put into the edge, which obviously gives it strength, and it also adds to the aesthetic beauty of the product. Here's another wired edge. This is on the top, and also you can see the wire coming through. So the way we do this, we set the bar folder so that one of the things that has to be adjusted is this bar here, and that has to be adjusted in such a way that it has a large gap, which allows it, instead of getting a tight bend, to get this lazy, easy bend. And let me show you how it works. So I put this piece in the folder, okay, and I bring it up, and it comes down. And as you can see, it's still not completely closed like you want it. So you bring the bar up and you actually squeeze it and close it. So now both these are similar. Then we'll take, and it will actually close. Okay, the next operation is folding to create a closed seam. And again, I don't like to have exposed surfaces. These are the columns for the Dutch Steamboat lantern. And I'll stick them in here, pull them up, and it's not completely closed, but when I put it down and press down again, I can almost completely close it. Now the other side, I'll bring it up. Pretty decent. And again, here's another one just for informational purposes. This, once you set the machine up, this actually goes pretty quickly. You have to make sure that you get the right side squared away. Okay, I've taken this piece, and you got to put it in properly so that this part is on the outside, and this is exactly 1 inch, so the bend point is basically at a 1/2 inch. I have already set the bar, so I'll lift it up, but one of the things we have to keep in mind is to get the right angle, and the right angle would be a good way and an easy way to do it is use the base piece that I already made, and so it's got to come up a little bit more. Let me take it out and check it. It's always easier to add more than to take it away, and I need to add a little bit more, just like I thought. One of the things that also has to be considered when you do this is the spring back, especially with this turn tin. Okay, so there we are. You can see that's pretty good. The next operation is to bend this part up as shown here for making the top or bottom. This is the top, as you recalled, we just punched this hole in it. I'll cut it out later. So I'll put that in. The bar is set at exactly 3/4 of an inch. Bring it up, and this is a 90-degree bend. Put on my angle and make sure we got there. It's always good to check it this way too. It's probably about 5 degrees off. And that's the spring back component. Now, on the back, we're only turning it up 1/4 of an inch. Okay, I can also set the gauge here at 1/4 accurate. So again, this is a 90-degree up bend. You can see it spring back a little bit. Okay, there we go. Now the next the reason I do this bend and this bend in the bar folder is it's actually fairly simple. Now these two bends, I have to use a different piece of equipment. I use the box and pan brake, and I'll show you how that operates. The box and pan brake has fingers in it, and the fingers are removable. This dimension here is 7 inches. And then into position. Make sure everything's lined up. Okay, so it's clamped down. I pick it up and there we go. And do the other one. There we have our top with a hole that I will cut out in a few minutes. Okay, this is a special purpose machine strictly for wiring, and it actually closes this machine is no longer made, but my combination rotary machine, which I have, has a set of wheels on it which also do the same thing. The advantage of this, it has better adjustment for the spacing, and also the wheels quite a bit larger. Okay, so I'm basically ready. Just bring it in a little bit, bring it down a little bit more, and away we go right through. Okay, and there you have it. the wire's encapsulated and closed, and actually that's a pretty decent job. Or the turn tin, which is stainless. And I'll bring this up a little bit and I'll start it. Seems to be starting nicely. Seems to be setting down nicely. Crank it down a little bit more. Bring it right through. And there we go. That wire is actually quite good. When I take it and roll it to put the top on, this bead will tighten up even more. Looks pretty easy, but actually it takes a little practice. So here's the 3 different tops with the wired edges in it. And they're ready to be rolled up. And if you're going to wire a cylinder, it becomes more complicated. You can't use the bar folder, of course. You have to use a special purpose machine. So this concludes episode number 3. Episode number 4 is even going to be more exciting. It's where we take the components that we wired and we actually roll them up into their configuration, and we'll also do some rolling of other components in the slip roll. So that's always a little bit more exciting because it's probably a piece of equipment that you haven't seen very often. So again, this is Don Zabolansky with Colonial Metalsmithing, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.